Hi, I'm Dr. Robert D. McDonald. I'm the co-founder of the Telos Healing Center in California, and we also have an office in Holland, in South Ireland. And I'm making this video to inform you that Dr. Luzette, my wife, Dr. Luzette, brilliant Dr. Luzette, and I will be coming to Holland in September, and you have a chance to come and involve yourself in some of the finest work being presented on the planet. It's September, and the first 3 days, September 4th, 5th, and 6th, will be our teaching of how to create, how to elicit, to create, and how to present stories, narratives, metaphors that heal the person who the story is directed toward. And this might sound vague, but it's quite possible to help people with simply stories, but you have to create a lot of rapport and connection with them. And where we found this to be particularly valuable is with children. So those of you who are coaches or parents, and you want to help children get past certain issues that they have, it could be any kind of thing that they have, something physical like bedwetting or rashes or something like that, or aggression. When I was working in Holland not too long ago, I worked with a young boy about 7 years old who the teachers were saying, well, he needs to have medication because he's being very aggressive and biting people and causing problems at the school. His mother very smartly said, well, wait a minute, I don't want to do medication. Maybe there's another way. And so I personally met with him, and although he didn't speak English and I didn't speak Dutch, we had a translator and his grandfather, and we were able to address the issue that he had indirectly. That's what a story is, or a metaphor, or a narrative. And it actually resulted in him, after one session, it resulted in him having complete turnaround. People started to say they were quite amazed, and then they tried to justify it by like he outgrew the problem, when in fact it was a result of the effective utilization of storytelling. So I'll be teaching precisely how to elicit stories from clients, whether they're children or adults, and then how to put them in a format which is an effective story, so that the client, the child or adult, has an internal change that is quite surprising and delightful. I've used storytelling to help children and adults for more than 30 years, so it's quite powerful, and I've taught this kind of thing around the world for longer than that, 19 different countries. So if you're interested in storytelling for the resolution of certain kinds of suffering, because that's what we do, my wife and I own the Telos Center, we are interested in the resolution of unnecessary suffering. And the kind of suffering that we see in children is largely unnecessary, as long as the people around them have the ability to elicit and provide stories that transform the client's unconscious mind. If you're interested in that kind of thing for yourself, if you're a coach, or for your personal transformation or your family, join us. We're going to do work not only with storytelling, metaphors, narratives, but also on those dates, which are the 4th, 5th, and 6th. We'll also address of September. We'll also provide ways to make profound core belief changes, so that within yourself, or if you're working with adults and they have a core belief, we'll be able to elicit core beliefs and then change them with tools that are, some people regarded as profound hypnosis, but it's actually change work, because we understand what the mind is and we understand what to do. So we're going to provide you with not only the storytelling change work that's useful with children and adults, but also deep core belief change will be demonstrated. I always do demonstrations, and then you'll learn how to do it. And we have handouts for all that. You get a booklet for the 3-day program.
And they'll have many healings themselves.
And many healings will occur in the classroom.
Yes.
People will come up with many stories for healing. So it's quite exciting and happy producing. So I hope that you want to come to the contact Hank DeVos, who I believe you've gotten this video from, and tell him that you want to be in this program. Then on the 4th and let's see, that's 4th, 5th, and 6th. On the 8th and the 9th, we're going to be doing transgenerational trauma technique. I'm going to show you, demonstrate how to work with transgenerational trauma, defined as painful experiences, memories, attitudes, beliefs that are passed on from one generation to another. Probably you are very much more familiar than most Americans are about what happened with the Holocaust. And then the Holocaust victims, of course, had the astonishing, overwhelming, ghastly trauma, which then, in many cases, is passed on to the children who pass it on to their children. And it's like that's a sort of obvious example of transgenerational trauma. But it also can be transgenerational beliefs about one's own identity as a man, as a woman, a role, a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, a husband, a wife. And so when there are difficulties that are transported from one generation to another, the transgenerational trauma work, which I show you how to do it, we do it. It gets done for everybody there in the class. There's a handout on it. I invented it some time ago. Works wonders and can help people to resolve these issues that are passed on. There's a story about one of our people, who was that, Janice Repstock, out in Louisiana, who was struggling with her mother for years. And at some point she realized
her mother was cruel and mean to her.
Her mother was cruel and mean to her, thank you. And at one point, Janice realized that she was wishing that her mother would be damned to hell, and it caused Janice tremendous pain because the mother died. And Janice felt guilty and so on. And so she wanted to find a way to let go of the trauma that had come from her mother through her, because she didn't want to pass that on to others. We did the transgenerational trauma work, completely resolved the entire issue in her life, opened her up to love. It turns out that before she went through this particular process, she was going to break up with a man, she said, because he loved her too much. He was so kind and so open. And he's going, I don't want to have somebody like that. Once she got through this work, she was able to appreciate and value what she had, because she was no longer fighting internally with the upset that had been passed on from generation to generation. That's just an example, but there are many, many examples of how these kinds of things can happen. By the way, in the telling of stories, I must tell you, an example of that is when I worked with a young boy who was like 12 years old, and he'd been stuttering his whole life, and at school he had a speech therapist who constantly worked with him to try to get him to improve his ability to speak properly. Well, I worked with him once in storytelling, and the stuttering dropped 80%. And then when he went and told the teacher that, she just told him that was impossible. And he did something he had never done before. He stood up to her and said, no, it is possible. I'm doing it now. And his father brought him out of that arrangement. And then I just spoke with his father just a few days ago. The boy is now 15, and the boy doesn't stutter at all. So this came as a result of a singular individual session that I did with him about storytelling. So there's a couple of examples. And the last day, see, we do the 8th and the 9th is transgenerational trauma technique. I'll let you know about that, and you'll be deeply involved with that, with a booklet and handout and all that. And then on the last day that we're there, we have a standalone program called Solve It Now. And it means you can come and address whatever issue you want, but the general theme will be anxiety. And the reason for the general theme being anxiety is that there's so much world anxiety now. If you're paying attention at all, you're aware that the world is just astonishingly overwhelmed with worry, fear, and each individual must address that in the way that they can. Well, we're going to address those kinds of experiences with the intent of resolving the anxiety, to come to peace. We must come to inner peace in order to create a peaceful world. So the anxiety isn't helping to create a peaceful world. As a matter of fact, the anxiety just exacerbates the problem. So we'll be able to address that anxiety very thoroughly, and then maybe anything else that you, during that day, which will be the 10th of September, that's the last day that we're there. We also address personal issues that you might have. Maybe you've got a rash, or maybe you've got an allergy or something, and we'll demonstrate how that's possible to be resolved right away, because we're committed to it. So the dates in September are set. Contact Hank and Annika DeVos. Come and join us. We have these programs. You can come to The individual programs, like the first 3 days having to do with storytelling, healing metaphors and healing narratives and transforming that. You can go up to just that, or maybe you just want to, and also there's core belief change in that one. Or maybe you go, no, I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I'm aware that there's been passed down from great-grandparents or grandparents through parents, through myself. I carry the family struggle, the family idea that's kept me, maybe prevented me from happiness, prevented me from financial success, or prevented me from many other kinds of things. It's transgenerational trauma. And if you want to come to just that of course will be on the 8th and 9th of September. Then on the 10th of September, which is a Wednesday, we're doing one day. You could come to just that if that's what you want. And that is going to be about solve it now. We want to solve the issues now with an emphasis on anxiety. And you can talk with Hank and Annika about taking all of the programs. Perhaps there's a minor financial benefit to take all of them as opposed to just one. Talk it over with Hank and Annika. They're deeply honest and good people, very powerful. They really know what they're doing. And we are grateful to have them as friends and associates. And we look forward to being with all of you in September. Please let them know that you've seen the video and take good care. It's great to talk with you. Bye-bye.